Yes, we're all ready.
We're all ready? All right. Okay, we're live. Folks, first of all, thank you for coming. So it's the Marketing and Communications Committee Working Party meeting. So we'll start off the agenda with 2609. Apologies for absence.
Councillor Fuller.
Councillor Fuller
And Hannah.
Okay, so accept apologies for absence. Not there. 2610 declarations of interest. Are there any declarations that declare any disposal of pecuniary interests or declare any other interests? Okay, right. And we've got present representation of interested parties. There's nobody here.
No.
Consideration of requests of interested parties.
No.
Nothing. That's right. Right. The minutes of the previous meetings were held on the 16th of June. I think have been circulated. Any questions at all on those? Okay, do I have a proposal to accept them and to second them? So, Councillor Adams, Fordham. Wonderful, I'll sign those off.
Well, do you all agree?
You all agree?
That's fine. Yeah.
I didn't see anybody not disagree. Okay, all right, on to the meat of the question. 261401, receive an update on social media collaboration with Quibble and approve the next steps. I think everybody, we haven't seen the July report yet, which I expect in a couple of weeks' time, but the June report is certainly going in the right direction. And we've had a great deal of work. I know there's a point Rebecca is giving an update on what she's doing, so we can cover that off at that point. Is there anybody any questions about Quibble? Because we do have some other things in the agenda which Quibble won't be able to we can talk about. But overall, I'm very happy.
Just a bit of clarification. Who is posting on Instagram and Facebook? Is it just Quibble?
No.
Or nothing?
No. Rebecca is basically posting any sort of, let's call it, correct me if I'm wrong, statutory notices, anything to do with Oundle Town Council, whereas Quibble are posting basically everything else.
Yeah. Although they only have what, three posts a week?
3 posts a week.
3 posts a week. So they're concentrating on events and bigger things. But everything else that you see on there, we're doing.
Do we still have the themes through the year that they're focusing on? I know we discussed last year about blocks of content through the year.
Yeah, those themes are still there. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what they are, but they're in constant revision. So every month we're going to be having a sit-down meeting or a meeting with them. And Anna from Quibble's actually requested that probably once a quarter she'd love to attend this meeting as well, which I think is a very, very good idea. But we can ask her directly as well. So I think that will be very, very useful. But yes, there's more theme. Okay, so 261402 to receive an update on the latest draft of Love Hour, the refresh by Cuttlefish and approve next steps. If you recall, the last time we put it up on the screen, so last time we asked for the navigation to change a little bit. So what I call above the line or above the creases, come visit us in Living in Oundle, because that was one of the big things that was pointed out. We wanted really a direction of somebody, residents to go in one area, so people, visitors coming in. And I think that works quite well. It's straight. You can't really miss it. So you know exactly where to go from that. And then you click from there and go into the various elements. It doesn't work on this. You just have to go to the next page. But all of this is Compass does. So all of that is there. And then we can just scroll up on that. There we go. So we've got all those points in. Now, all of this has been currently updated by Rebecca in terms of content. I know we had a little issue in terms of content not being in the right type or right formats, but she's got that from the existing provider right now, and that's all being put in. And hopefully, it's been done. And Rebecca's done an enormous amount of work.
She's put quite a lot. She spent as much time as she could before she went on holiday putting content in.
So do we know exactly where we are in terms of content on that now?
No, I know that she tried to put as many things into, right, let me just see if I can open it. Where can I find it? This is the Shell site. She's only just sent, but this is where she's actually putting in, where she's got all this. She's trying to get as much content in as possible, but as you can imagine, she's literally having to copy and paste it. So it's when she's got the time.
I think we should actually figure out whether we can actually download the actual content from the old website in the right format, and it can just be sent across to Google to copy.
Well, they've said that they are not doing it. They won't be doing that. Yeah, Cuttlefish said that they hadn't quoted to do that. They'd only quoted to do the maps.
All right. We really need to ascertain just how far we've got in terms of getting all that content uploaded before we can go live, because we can't really go live until we've got all that content put in.
Well,
Most of it. So I think what I will do then is maybe if we can have some help to go through the framework at the moment, just to click through, just to make sure that where we are, and then we can make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a little bit conscious, and I'd love to get some feedback here, is we don't have a full council meeting in August, so the next one's September. So we're not really going to be able to push this live until September at the earliest, I'm guessing. I'm assuming we have to have full council approval to put this site live.
Well, I think so, yeah. I think it just needs to be rubber stamped. I mean, obviously you don't want a whole load of opinions, but I think it does. I think for something, a brand new site going out, I think at least they need to be made aware of it.
Okay. It's a refresh more than new sites. All the content basically the same, it's just for the slightly
Yeah.
look on it.
I think what we said last time was that when it's ready to go, it's never going to be 100%. So when you're happy, really, that it's ready to go with Rebecca, Emma, once you're happy,
Yeah. I mean, the only problem is this, because we didn't realise that this is a huge piece of work, as you can imagine, that she's having to fit in around everything else. So it's not.
Looking back at the email that's been sent from Rebecca to around Cuttlefish, they charge £50 an hour for adding content. It would be interesting to know if they were able to do a bulk download and a bulk upload. Are we talking 1 or 2 hours for them?
Yeah, we'd have to find that out. Yeah.
I think if we could, that would be really useful,
Okay.
because if it's only going to cost a couple £100, I think we can find it somewhere within the budgets to be able to do that. And it would save an enormous amount of Rebecca's time. Probably more cost effective as well.
Yeah. If they can do it like that, yeah.
Just a thought. It might take about hours and we can't afford it, but if it's 3 hours, and perhaps we can justify it, given that you said Rebecca's time cost.
Yeah.
As well.
Just thinking, I haven't read them recently. In terms of reference, are we marketing or the comms working with? Are we responsible for website content? So on that basis,
I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Put this forward.
Yeah, well, I
report in September that
had put an item on the agenda for tonight. If you wanted to show this site as is, say this is where we are at the moment, because then at least.
I think we should. in my view.
And if they say they're happy with it, then we.
Roll it out, subject to content being.
Yeah.
put in, but just in the last throes of putting that content.
That's what we agreed at the last
Yeah.
the last marketing meeting. That's what we agreed we would do. We just show that and say we're ready to go, apart from bit of content. If anyone's got any major,
But this is basically what we're going with.
This is a refresh.
Yeah.
This is not a new site. It's just we're tweaking it, bringing it up. This is where we are. And this is what we're on. Okay, that's great.
With that, and then just saying we're looking to when the content's on to go live.
Yeah. Where do you land on the colours? Because then before it was a red as well. There's blue as that.
Well, we've now got, so if I go back, local things are red, and then people, things that where people, sorry. My laptop's having to deal with too much stuff and it's getting a bit tired. So if you click in there,
Yeah, it doesn't click, but
yeah, but everything's red, and then if you click there, it's blue. But then if you look at, so that's why some of the pages are blue. We've got blue topping. Some have got red.
yeah, so we've got different. So if you're coming in on a visitor, you're basically seeing the Love Angle red. If you're coming in as a community or resident, you're seeing the vast majority in blue. That was.
Oh, I think it's the other way around.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a bit of inconsistency there. I can see.
Or we can
But
type
that's
this
the
out.
we can check. but
Yeah.
That's the,
Yeah.
That is the minimal thing.
I don't know, it might be
It's
wrong.
literally a toggle. Yeah. Anything else on the site itself? Because we lost chance here, just have a look at the links. We're happy with the landing page because that's what everybody's going to see to start off with. Looks good. It's a living and breathing thing, so you know, we'll tweak as we go along. But
To go back to the home page.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Because I think that was the one where we wanted to.
Yeah.
So that, and then you just scroll down.
Looks like it modeled the fresh and consistency from where we were before.
Correct. Now, I know I'm going to preempt a question from Mike in terms of visit angle. This is still under love angle. Will work, and I think the way I'm seeing things develop, I'm going to probably pose a question to Quibble rather than Cuttlefish about that movement and how we can best utilize those two URLs or domain names, because they seem to be really more of a, whereas Cuttlefish are very good at building the website. They're not necessarily quick to market the website, whereas that's really where Quibble is coming in. So,
Yeah, sorry, and I got the colours the wrong way around. It is visitors red.
yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it goes live,
Yeah.
would you ask for feedback from the engagement?
Absolutely. If they're still in, could do.
The chap who's leading this one of the groups, what is his name? Yeah, come up back.
Yeah,
He offered even after his time there.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Just
That's a very good point.
Just, I mean, for their benefit as well, you know, we didn't just take what you said, put it in the bin. Come on.
Great idea, actually.
That's
But
very
hopefully, I think it's mostly good.
Well, any feedback's great. And as I say, we get feedback, we'll bounce get feedback coming in as well on this. And then we'll take that on board. And then as we go forward, it's a kind of mantra for me, it's a website's a living thing. So it will constantly adapt and adjust as we move forward. We can't leave it stationary. Yeah.
One observation from me, and it's just the way my mind works, I think, if you could scroll to the top of that page, partly because I work at the school and I'm aware that to me that's school blue, living in Arundel, but nearly all the signs around the school are in and the vehicles are in. And seeing the chapel, for example, might someone say it looks like a government school to take over the website? That's just,
Would it, if we change the image,
it might change my mind, yeah. It's just I looked
just put it in the town centre rather than the
Yeah,
school?
that's a good point. I see the blue, if you click on the living market, the blue that follows on subsequent pages is a little more.
Okay, so that's something we can check to make sure the Pantone is right on the following pages than it is on that, and maybe just slightly off. But we want it to be slightly different from the Arundel School blue. for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. Maybe a bit like
So we
that.
should be out there, really.
It should be, yes.
What are those?
It's probably,
Because again, our previous website had those two colours.
Yeah.
Blue and blue and maroon. Blue and that.
yeah. Well, that's what we're doing to refresh to this come through. Okay, great. But the images, I think, we'll talk about photography in a minute, but the images, I think we should rotate. And that should be,
Oh, right, yeah.
rotating through. So people come on, it's not going to be the same image. The other thing to do is things like we want to push things like the Xmas, the Christmas market, or whatever, we can have those sort of images on the landing page as well, which helps really push it, because that's where the vast majority of people clicking on the site will see, and it's that very first impression bound, so it has to be right. Okay. Thank you. Right, so moving on to 261403, update on business to consider what other key towns we want to benchmark against. You'll be pleased to know the Vintage Festival was a big success from what we could see. With nearly 5,000 people were in town on that Saturday, which is excellent. Compared with roughly average about 2,500. So incremental, we almost doubled the people coming into town. So that was superb. And I think the feedback we were getting as well from retailers, Ali, I may ask you to comment on this, was very positive as well from the Vintage Festival. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Vintage Christmas.
The government are taking over the Christmas market.
It'd be interesting to find out. If we can, that
I
was-
think that's probably because my shop is geared to the Vintage Festival, to be honest, but, you know, even so, just have the football and things
Yeah.
to town next week.
We'll have a vintage Christmas show.
I think we
It
should.
was good. The,
On that point then, Ian,
yeah.
next OBA meeting is in a few weeks. But if you would raise that on the agenda, let me know. I'll ask for feedback about that specific.
The Vintage Festival Committee, aka Phil Bams, asked for a copy of that, which we forwarded to him. So it's fascinating to really go through this in quite some depth. He also said that it would be really useful to go to the OBA, and we've also we're now sending a regular update for the OBA newsletter, which is just on Place Informatics, just relying to information. We went out to, Rebecca was reached out to Place Informatics and asked what the other people send to this, and they came back with a kind of template, which is what we're using. The figures for the month, and you also got to take this in a pinch of salt, was slightly down, we were down about 7%. But I think it's the way the month fell and a few other things. That's why I don't like taking 1 month out in isolation. We've got to take the whole lot. When it comes in, we actually have 6 months worth of figures, which we should have as of soon, actually, if not tomorrow, at the end of this week. That's going to have a better indication of where we are in terms of footfall and what's happening. But again, we're seeing concentrations of it being fairly local, people coming in local, we don't have a wide outreach, which as a marketing committee, we'll look at advertising once we've got a little bit more information, we can start making some more strategic decisions on that.
I know we focus on the Vintage Festival, and I think comparing it against the Christmas market and the summer food festival. I think observation were this year for the food festival, the footfall was down, the number of stalls were fewer than the previous years. But clearly the town council was sort of had a Vintage Festival. Don't know if when and where we have the discussion as to I suppose progress on future food festivals. Even without seeing the data, there were fewer people attending this year. Feedback hadn't been to the total number of stores, all sorts of reasons
Yeah.
due to the scheduling of the festival.
Well, that's what we thought. Maybe the Vintage Festival the month before had an impact on the food festival. That from some of the stallholders, that little rain shower that we had, they felt after that people didn't come back. It was almost like people dispersed. So you can't. There's nothing you can do about that. But we did wonder whether, if the Vintage Festival continued, so maybe we looked at the food festival every other year. So, but these were just.
Point of order, something I was interested in. Last year we had a market working party. This year we don't. Where does the things like the food festival, the daily markets, the Saturday farmers markets, where does it sit in terms of the council oversight? I don't know where does it sit.
I think estates. That's where the approval of I think the approval of marshals. I don't know. It sits across a few. Basically, it's staff that manage it, run it.
It's just a thought, and it's slightly off agenda, whether it actually should sit maybe in this committee. because we're looking at the marketing, we're looking at the visitor, and our remit is visitors coming in, whether it should sit here or not. Maybe we'll put that in an agenda item for maybe the next market.
It's well considered it here. We're thinking about the impacts from the numbers, marketing, the communication, the website,
Mm.
but it doesn't.
I suppose it depends on how much you want to be involved, because
They're quite gritty.
and I even like sitting down, mapping out the stalls and all of the health and safety and stuff like. It depends
Yeah.
what. Yeah.
Maybe we could look at the marketing of the markets,
Mm.
give it a message out about it.
Yeah, I have not, there's no way of thinking about it. We've got more evidence for on that.
I mean, it does
It's
just
more
sit.
of an oversight in actually saying,
Yeah.
okay, what is happening? It's more the strategy to the point we've just been talking about. Whereas the Vintage Festival is quite good. It looks like, do we want to hold it every other year? Do we want to look at other things, or maybe there's other marketing ideas we can put in to start driving it? And also, where does the budget sit? Because there's another item on the agenda for budget, so I'm sort of kind of aware of this. Where does that budget sit? Does it sit in finance estates, or does it sit here? I don't know. That's the
It sort of sits. I don't know. It almost sits on its own, and it just. I mean, council don't really get involved much with it, if I'm honest, other than approving things like how much first aid is going to cost, how much security, and that sort of thing. But we would always happily, like any number of councillors who want to come on board now with it.
Well, I'm just thinking if it's great, we've got to look at the profitability of markets. If the profitability of the market is there, it really helps us design what the market is going to be to make it even more profitable. Because we can make it profitable, the precept goes down. So I think there is issues there, which is I don't really want to get in the nitty gritty, but we do have an officer to handle that.
The Christmas market, I mean, obviously the food festival we inherited, but the Christmas market was never something that was put on as a profit-making event. It was basically, if we break even, that's fine, because it's just an event that we put on for the people of the town that coincides with turning the Christmas lights on.
I think the profit side of it, as far as the council is a secondary.
It's a secondary thing.
What is the most important thing is bringing the maximum number of visitors to the town
Correct.
for the benefit of the traders.
Yeah.
So if we get that balance right, by doing things a bit different and get more people, then you're going to get more traders, and the whole thing becomes more successful. And the rest of the shops in town will benefit because there's just more people in town. So at this stage, I think with the Christmas market coming up, maybe we could think about what went well, because we didn't run the Vintage Festival ourselves. I know we were involved, but the Vintage Festival Committee ran it. And what is it that we could learn from that can improve the Christmas market, compare it to this year to last year, ask the traders again, and then start building from there.
I 100% agree, Mike. Maybe let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting, even though it's September. We could probably
Yeah, well, we've already
start.
started on
Yeah.
it, so yeah.
Maybe it's more
But the marketing,
The word marketing, we've already started with the operations side, the marketing was really kicked in, so we can have a look at that. And I think that's where we can hopefully provide positive influence in driving this.
because Rob was talking about the sort of flow of what goes on with Quibble. And now after this, the next thing is the Christmas market. And so if our marketing thoughts go around that, it can only help bring in more people than it did last year. But it'll be objective. And also bringing them in from those places where they don't come at the moment.
Correct. Which is really important because we need to bring those people in. Okay, so let's do that. That's great. I may bring forward also to the next meeting a slight change in the terms of reference, because we may want to incorporate that, make sure we're covered, because we have to change it anyway if we approve one of the agenda items coming up. Right, thank you for that. 26-1404 budget for the marketing communications, just for info. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to draw your attention to, now, obviously the marketing budget was agreed at 26,000, but that included all of the things that you put forward. You'll see within that's being taken out of that budget is the amount of money for the Oundle Advertiser, for the Nen Valley News.
Yeah.
And although it's not huge amounts, and we're now not advertising in the Oundle Advertiser for the next 6 months, that wasn't included in your.
It was, there was 7,000 something.
Was there for that? Oh, that's okay. I was just really worried that we'd all of a sudden taken it out, and I was like, oh my god. That's okay, right? Okay, I'm fine.
For me, this is useful because I want to try and break it down, and maybe we'll have an online conversation into the various elements that we've got. So, for instance, I want to make sure that we're not going over budget on the various line items that we put into the marketing plan.
Well, I
which
thought
is
we'd
different
already.
to the accounting.
I thought I was really panicking about this.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
We have 7,500,
Right. Okay.
7,500
That's okay.
in there. Yeah.
So we should be all right. We should have a bit of money.
Yeah, I think we've got
To
a
play
little
with.
wiggle as well, which is great, to help things like the Christmas market.
Yeah.
So we've had 26.
Yeah.
We've spent 7.
7.5.
So we go 19-ish. 19. How much is committed though? Because you've got ongoing with Quibble and.
Well, this is why I want to have a look at it. Because this is great, but now I want to break it down into quibbles. Like, for instance, the cuttlefish one is that's 50%. It's 2.6. It's another 2.6 coming out. That's half.
So next time we can see that.
We can exceed that. Yeah. Well, that's what I want to do is break it down to.
Yeah. Well, I just did that because I was already thought we were in a mess, but we're not. So that's fine.
Okay, so I'm actually, with your permission, I'm going to bring forward 26-1407 because it's part of the budget. I'm going to consider, and this is very difficult for me being a marketeer, and you never ask the marketeer to correct a 5-year plan because it always changes. Okay, but I think it's important for us to be able to do this. Actually, stop one minute. We haven't covered all the items on 26-1403. Is what other key towns we want to benchmark against for place informatics. And notice that we haven't covered that, so if I can just go back to that for a minute. I was thinking about this, and some towns like Settle in Yorkshire came up for me, a similar size, similar to what we're doing. But if anybody's got any ideas for this, will really help us in ascertaining exactly how we're doing as a town. But it's kind of difficult. You know, 6,000 people will be unique in terms of our buildings and architecture and school. It's really difficult to find similar type towns around the country.
Which towns are, this is any other town, or this is extra other towns? I couldn't see any towns.
It's any town. Hopefully that Place Informatics has a little bit more data on it. But they have some general data.
I would have immediately thought Frampton and Upping are worth looking at, because they are sort of nearest, similar size, similar experience places.
Yeah.
Even though they're both very different. Upping was broadly, lots of people say their market's great on Friday, etc. But they're less service, so how do we compare?
Mhm.
And Frampton's, Frampton's very similar size, both of them are hands, but all very different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the downside of the second is we don't know anything about what else is going on
Yeah.
in the wide open economy up there. When we talked about this, I don't know when we talked about it, but some other names came up, like Hyde Ferrers. Where was that came up? Hyde Ferrers. I went on my motorbike, so it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But it's surrounded by other big towns, so it's sort of a bit of a hidden gem into the other big towns. So, and Rawlins as well. Was it Rawlins?
Rawlins.
It's bigger,
Is it
and it's
bigger?
also influenced because of the big shopping area as well. That's what it's
Well,
But you know, this 3, that's enough. I actually don't want loads
Yeah.
because it's going to really kind of distort what we think.
But Uppingham and Frampton have been called, but I think we've always sort of said,
Yeah.
but we didn't.
Okay.
Us on Frampton, Hyde Ferrers.
All right. Thank you for that. 5-year marketing plan. The view is, I think across all committees, going to be kind of asked gently to write a 5-year marketing, or 5-year financial plan, which I think is a really sound thing to do. And I've started the process and already started scratching my head. What I would like for this committee, and maybe some initial ideas that maybe report back to the next one or send to me some input in the interim, is what other areas would you like this committee to look at moving forward in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 or 5 years down the line? give you some examples, my immediate indication is we're doing a refresh on Love Angle. Next year should be refreshed on the town council website. You can see there's quite a lot of stuff in there that needs to be done. So that was the immediate one. My other areas, increasing social media presence, maybe expanding to other areas. But is there anything headline that you think that we could do to enhance the marketing of the town?
I think when we had the last Love Angle photo campaign, there were lots of lovely photos, but the traction with the brand of the town in Salisbury, in Thrax and etc., just getting the word out. It's when you look at the informatic stuff, there's lots of people from Angle coming around, but getting our message that little bit further around 10, 15 miles, just so people, and I know I met some of the Salisbury peers, and they said, we always come to Angle because it's free parking, it's only on people when you take parking. And so we thought, for them, there was a really simple message about what they handled, but it was shot in Peterborough. They never actually competed in Peterborough, or it never did. So just getting that little bit further afield.
So if I take from that, what we're really saying is somebody in there to start developing, let's call it brand angle a little bit more, and really honing in on what is the essence, what are the real pieces in angle, and then really concentrating on those.
Yeah, and getting it a little bit further afield than it is. It's still not very far before you get quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Great casting
businesses. Yeah.
Anything else? Any ideas?
Yeah, a couple. We discussed at some point in the past, in fact, when we had the MBA students here, as to a themed walking tour or some sort of link to local history. And we put that plan together. That was a big deliverable that needs a lot more thought.
Yeah.
Big upwards of the American Scots to do that. But an example of a link through to the history and legacy that other towns don't have. But,
Yeah, maybe linked to that. There was an idea a couple of years ago about blue plaques and QR codes, just to make the heritage a bit more visible.
Yeah, so I think it-
walking past.
So I think a big deliverable project around the heritage. It builds into some kind of angle.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does, yeah.
That's one aspect. The other is, like your Ian, getting the message out further. We have discussed, could we invest in getting a piece on Angle in Country Life? That is more going to cost you more, but as a big
The statement piece.
statement piece.
Yeah.
Maybe we do a few things before that. Not probably year 2, that's probably year 3, 4, but that's what it is. And then we have the latest was it the Times best places to live in the UK? Now I know because that's out of our control to an extent, but it did say that they'd come and revisit Angle for next year's list.
That's just a little bit of extra lobbying. But then again, you're right. So maybe what we do is we increase or expand the brief of the social media, or whatever it is, social media, to include that lobbying a little bit more PR
Yes.
work to be able to drive that type of articles.
Yes.
Because if we can get that,
I think you should call it PR. Because that's
Just
what
call
it
it
is.
PR, yes. Yeah, well, it is not.
we want to be able to get to a stage where they'll do the heavy lifting for us.
Yes, that's right.
The sorry,
Yeah, sure.
you said the other week about filming in Oundle for Escape to the Country.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what particular houses and where they're going, but I think they've also been filming, because Sarah said they were filming in Nassington. I don't know if it was is it the farm there?
Yes,
They
so we're
film-
filming in the Blueberry.
Yeah,
We found.
but it might be worth finding out when that's on and doing it. Yeah.
Just on that point as well, something that the NEA was touched on was the idea that actually Amber isn't just Amber, it's Amber the villages.
Yeah.
And maybe year 2, year 3, we say to the villages, look, here's what we've got to. Do you want to sort of maybe not get involved? But
I think that's an aim of Discover Northamptonshire, actually, to try and do that. So that's great. So then we just build on that. One area which is not sexy, it's all this stuff, is actually more practical, and it's emergency planning and emergency planning communications. what, if anything, is communication plan within the emergency plan for Elmhall? What are we doing? What are we talking about? How do we communicate? And what are the communication channels? I don't know.
We have, Morag and I went on a course and we started looking into quite a bit of this. And I think she's looked even further. Majority of it is about sort of getting the people that if there was an emergency, how they would help. So if you've got farmers with tractors, you've got, you know, people with generators. So that's the information that you need to put together. But we stopped because Northants Council, I think they were doing something with their
They came and spoke to us. didn't
they?
They had an approach that was quite decentralised.
Mm,
When someone came in last summer,
yeah,
and it became quite centralised, and the is around.
but then I don't know what
They
happened.
basically said, well, don't come up with your own stuff, we'll bring it together and tell you. what
Yeah.
to do. And I know John had a couple of meetings about emergency planning with council,
Mm,
and we talked broadly about that plan, but I'm not quite sure.
yeah, so I could find out what's
Well, yeah,
happening.
because I think it's important if something happens.
Yeah,
it never does, if something happens, we have a plan now to make sure our residents are informed on a regular and consistent basis. It's really important. I don't know what that requires, and if it does require budget or whatever, we need to look at it
Mhm.
now, because if we start planning for it now, it'll never happen. We
mhm.
don't plan, what's going to happen.
Yeah, it was effectively to work with police.
Yeah.
There's
I don't think it'd need that much. The actual planning wouldn't necessarily need lots of money because it wouldn't involve us buying lots of emergency stuff, but it's just knowing where.
All off the shelf
Yeah,
is where we need to
yeah.
go.
And also, and we would need to involve like Tesco's, Waitrose, because let's say there was a complete power outage and it was going to last, I don't know, 4 days or whatever. Obviously, that would have impacts everywhere. And so a lot of it is speaking to your community and getting people. So
It's also
We've got-
having in the background the emergency website page, emergency Facebook
Yeah.
page. It's all set
Yeah.
up. That's the type of thing. You just push the button and
Mm.
start working on it. But that needs to be planned and put it into the planning.
That'll be next year.
Oh, it'll have to be next year. Well, it's just, I'm just,
Isn't it?
all right.
You better start.
Thanks, well, thanks for that.
A couple of things. Do you want to particularly with the shops?
No, I can't think of anything at the moment. I think the site being updated is really actually, so. And there are things, a couple of things going on with it. Agnes is launching.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to bring them up here, because we won't know about these things.
You know that.
I know
Agnes,
that,
yeah. So Agnes is doing a trail through the town that will include shops that want to be involved, and they can get a stamp at each of the shops. So it's making sure people visit each of the shops. They've got to get a stamp from each shop, and there's a draw to go into.
May I suggest that
So it's quite a simple.
Agnes, whoever's doing it, talks to Emma and Rebecca and make sure it gets through on call, because
Yeah.
maybe an idea for just have a little piece
Yeah,
on social media and explain how it works and things like that. I think that would be really, really useful.
yeah,
And doing the newsletter.
And those things.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Can I just go back to make sure we're ticking the boxes here? I need a proposal second to approve the formation of a 5-year budget.
I just put that into it.
Sure.
So, I think, the markets need to be part of that.
Okay.
I know we talked about it, but
Okay.
if it's something we could do relatively cheaply, if not for any cost, no extra cost.
Okay.
And anything that focuses on what we've already got is going to be a quicker win than stuff like the trail, which is great, and I'm all for it, but that's going to take longer.
Okay, that's very interesting. We'll do that. I'll add that in if everybody's in agreement. Yeah. Great. Somebody can propose that for me. Ian, secondly. Rob, thank you. I'll get on to that and start working on it with.
And everybody's all in favour.
Everybody's all in favour. I'm saying that, I'm just taking it as read in case somebody objects. Okay, right, next one, 261405, this went a bit out of order, is to receive an update on a proposal to hold a photographic competition. Just for information, Rob and I had a good conversation about that. Although we agreed it's probably a good idea, it's a good way of getting a lot of great images. The complexity of holding a competition at this stage, when we've got so much else going on, we felt it was a little bit too complex, and we're going to shelve it for a later date. I think that's fair to say. Rob.
It is, thank you, but I suppose bring to attention all the challenges.
Yeah.
We just let feedback on board and decide it's important, but ultimately what we need is a bank of images. That's what we need.
It would be it would be worth speaking to the library, because they do a calendar every year that involves people sending in photographs. So I would imagine that they have lots of photographs.
History as well.
Mm.
There's also a photographic group in Elwood, which escapes me.
Well, there is, but a lot of it's U3A.
U3A, yeah.
And you three as well.
They have who do a lot, most of them are the people who do the fools.
I think the challenge is for the library photos, which are fun. Actually, very rarely are there buildings in hand, although from
More landscape, I think, yeah.
Then there are things such as they are.
Yeah.
But even if there are, the challenge comes with the use of those photos, isn't it? Missions and concepts.
Mhm.
No, I haven't.
But the school's got, if I'm in school photographer, takes about 1,000 photos a week, and they will sit somewhere in the cloud.
And
And
each
lots of them are town market, children walking.
Mhm.
So there, but for every photo he takes and they publish, there's
thousands.
5,000 markers. There is millions.
I know Mike's been great to talk to and sort happy to come in and do some work. So we've got enough, I think, sources of photography rather than go complex photography competitions. So that's really the update.
Sometimes I know we discussed at the time of whether, as part of the work we were doing with us, they have a photographer that we could just say, we want the bank images, go and do it so that we actually know.
Yeah, yeah.
That seemed like to me the more direct way of getting what we needed.
Good talk. So just
Sorry, just in that, I know there's an item on the agenda this evening about the community action for the weekend.
yes,
On October 5th.
What's that?
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, some of the kids who do CA will be photographers. So we could raise that tonight.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so going back, that's the photograph. We have now 261406 to receive report electronic notice boards and green next steps. Emma.
Yes. One of the notice boards is not updating now, and the company have tried to look at it virtually, remotely, sorry, and they can't. And I think there are some other issues with, I don't know if it must be the one at Waitrose, because I don't think it's the one here. They gave us quotes to see if they could have a look and fix them. They have said it would be worth our while sending not necessarily the one in the marketplace, but the other one, because they do think that they could possibly fix that one. But the marketplace one is not fixable. And I included quotes for replacing them. But I don't know who we was talking to about this. Was it you, Ian, about just replacing two and not
Just
the three?
replacing
Yeah.
the need one, yeah, I don't think.
Mm. So we thought we'd just keep this one here whilst it's going. But obviously there's no budget at the moment for it.
Certainly I don't have a budget for it. I can put a marketing budget in, but I'm thinking, is it more estates than us? Because it is actually physically.
You talked about a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
States have a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Ella and her team are working on a lot of quotes,
Mm.
estimates on probably 20 or 30 items.
Yeah.
So how many of them get done, I don't know, but
That's one of them, was, yeah.
Yes, that's the place where it needs to go really,
Perfect.
and then it will come up on the budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
just a very quick question, this thought just come to me, the one here, which is working normally, can that be transferred and put into the marketplace?
It could, and I think this, because that one was, the surround was made because it's in the middle of the conservation area. So they would have to adapt that. I mean, I think they could probably do it. I don't know.
It was just a thought, because that is just as much say that's a solution, a pro tem solution, then we
Mm-hmm.
put it into next year's budget for replacement.
I could find out.
Yeah, let's try and find out, because it's a way we can.
When I saw this, I got very excited, because I kept a note on my phone for the last 4 years from Keith Scrimshaw. The guy who I spoke to a long time ago. I still got the note here. He said ours were put up in 2013, and they were the first of their sort. So he's very excited. So it's the animal probably in their hearts. But he was talking then about a better one would be an RGB colour one, that they would have some sort of limited colour facility, but also you put different fonts on it.
Mhm.
That would be problematic working with our existing system, so it's software so on.
Yeah,
So whether it's worth finding a short-term solution, swapping them over, and in the long term, the next year or two, saying, can we upgrade the one at Waitrose and the one at Town Centre to a better screen that delivers our message better?
Put it into the budget next and see what.
Mhm. I'll get a bit more information.
Yeah, thanks. That's good. Right.
If we can't transfer the one here into marketplace, rather than have a non-functioning relic, could we remove it?
Remove it.
Because rather than having something.
Yeah, I mean, we'd said we'd just turn it off temporarily. So I'm not sure how easy it is to remove it, but
Thinking about the perception of the
Yeah.
perception, If we're going to replace it, and we can't move that one down there,
mm,
which you argue we can't. So we're going to not have one, have something that looks better.
Yeah.
The right message. If we then want this 5-year plan for next year, think about new one.
Well, let's find out. We can make a choice on that. We'll see where we go.
If you ride on the A14 for the last 6 months, there are signs like they're telling you that the next few miles signs aren't working. Can we look at all the other ones?
Yeah.
That one isn't working.
All right, 26/14/08 to receive a report on central funding for Christmas lights from the OBA. We raised this to the OBA, and one question they came back with was they would quite like the lights to be extended further into, be switched on earlier in December.
Mhm.
But they would like to know how much that would cost in terms of electricity, because obviously putting it up is the same, but it just, what would be the incremental cost of that? Because they wanted to.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be hardly anything. They're all LED lights. No, they don't.
Where is it? Okay.
One of those things that no one knows.
Nobody knows.
So the proposal is to look to see if it can go up
A week earlier.
a week or so earlier.
And they said we can switch it off and switch on again if we want to have an official switch on light, but they felt it would be better for traders to have it on a week earlier.
Yeah, because it does add up.
We do tend to only, well, we'd have to see if they can fit that into their schedule, because they're currently scheduled to install
That's the question.
that first week, that week before the event.
And it could be that they can't do it this year, but they can.
It might be, yeah.
If we could find out, that'd be great, then I can report back, because that was certainly feedback.
But the other thing you asked about was, would any traders? Are you going to
Contribute, yeah.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Sorry, I think.
No, you're also the chair of the OBA.
Yeah, I mean, one person said no because something like that, but we mustn't listen to one person. So we've now got this WhatsApp group in the OBA. We have to remember the OBA doesn't represent every trading in the town, so it's a good percentage. But anyway, as a voice of the OBA, they should be asked perhaps via that WhatsApp group what their views are on something
Mm.
like that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, I mean, you said that you're taking to increase through the Vintage Festival. So if the Vintage Festival came to you and said you want to contribute to the Vintage Festival, you might want to. And it's the same with this. I think people might want to contribute. And if half a dozen people did want to contribute, then we might say to them, maybe not this year because it's a bit early, but you know, we'll put some advertising for you on our website or highlight you or something or the other. So it's just something I think we need to become aware of with people as to what might develop in the future.
Yeah.
Because if people are paying for the rights, it could be beneficial for them, and obviously it would be beneficial for us because we won't have to pay the whole amount.
Great. Yeah, great. Thank you, Mike. All right. So if we can find that, we'll, if you can find it, it's possible this year.
What to move it forward?
so
Yeah.
And I will come back to you with the
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I will do.
idea of what might happen.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. All right. 261409 is to receive the OTC website audit created by Quibble and Agree Next Steps.
You missed this presentation,
I got it. I got some of it, and I went, wow.
but it went on for
Did it?
another hour.
Wow. There's a lot to do on that.
Yeah, I will say though, that website is
Also,
obs-
about the town.
The town one, the
Oundle Town Council.
Yeah.
For me, that website is our statutory website that we have to have that holds the information that it has to hold.
Mm.
And yeah, there will be some links on there that don't work anymore because they're links that were pre-NNC, where, you know, back to NCC, things like that. There'll be things that, so although I'm not quite sure why the audit was done on that website, if I'm honest, because it's almost like a massive filing cabinet that just holds the information that it has to hold. So although it might be worth, you know, having a look and seeing if we can go to Cuttlefish and say, look, this is what we've had. Can you do anything about this? And if you can, how much will it cost? And just then work out whether it's worth doing it.
I think that's fair. You've got a copy of the report.
So
So
what
read it.
what was the background to it? So I can't remember why it all was done.
Because we've quibbled and auditing all of our digital stuff, and then we do the same to Love Oundle. In fact, as soon as we've got this, we'll send it to them and they'll do the same. So it's an external group going through it all. It's especially for Love Oundle, it's more to do with search engine optimization and getting all that sort of thing. That search engine optimization is changing now from keywords to more sentences and content, and so they're going to be looking at that.
Yeah.
They went through this because Love Oundle wasn't ready yet, and quite honestly, from what I could see, and I was only there, understand now, I thought we'd leave it at the end, half of the presentation, there was just a fair bit of tidy up to do. And Emma's absolutely spot on in the sense that it is a filing cabinet, it is there for statutory stuff. But if we can tidy up a lot of this stuff, I think the vast majority of what they're saying is a fail or whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Because it's with the Love Oundle one, I totally get it, because you want anybody that's looking, you want them to go there and see the page that they're looking for. And you're asking for people, not necessarily in Oundle, not necessarily people looking for Oundle Town Council minutes from whatever meeting. Those people that are looking for minutes will go to the Oundle Town Council website. So they won't necessarily search Oundle Town Council minutes. They know where to go. So they won't necessarily pick up on some of these things, you know, that they've highlighted. But I totally get it for the Love Oundle one,
Yeah.
because that's when people are putting things in search engines, looking for what's going on in Oundle.
I mean, Cuttlefish specialise in town websites, don't they?
Yeah.
So if there are some things that come out of it that make it easy for residents to search, for example, you know, and I understand what you're saying. If there was a link to NNC, we'd have gone, not because we've broken it, but
Yeah. Mhm.
so you could put a thing on there, you know, links might not work because but we still have to leave our bit of it on there. I think it would be a good idea to, if you summarise it, to say to Cuttlefish, could what do other people do about tidying up?
Yeah. Mm.
And if they say, yeah, that's easy to do, or, oh no, we tried that and it didn't work because of stuff that, we've heard.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree, there's a different type of website.
It's a totally different type of website.
Yeah.
It's there for the distinct purpose. Nina's quite right. If you're going to find something particular, you're not in search engine. You're going to go down and that's what you're going to pull. What I'm going to suggest is, if everybody agrees, is we basically set up a call with the Cuttlefish, send them this, and just say, listen, and there's obviously a lot of broken links. We don't want to necessarily do everything. What is your
What can
view
you do?
and what is it going to cost?
Yeah.
And then we go.
Can I just say, I was on the town council side today, where I get my and I went via that onto the YouTube site. You know, I actually watched the last meeting of this, but I think to do on YouTube. And who looks after the YouTube bit? How is that looked after? Because that is quite a minefield to find the right meeting. You go onto it.
We do.
and
The
it's
staff, yeah.
2022, and,
Mm.
they are quite in a muddle. I found this meeting by clicking way along.
Sometimes they move
I
away.
just wanted to-
Yeah, they do move.
The
The best, the best way is to go on the calendar, and if you wanted to have seen this, then it's there. it wouldn't go through, and then that's a link issue. Yeah. Mm.
But this is the sort of thing we want to try and fix, is the broken links, and so make sure it's a little bit more professional. I'm not too worried about artistic stuff and whatever,
Yeah.
just making sure that's right.
Yeah.
And there's also a sort of recurring thing of randomly that page changes to Rutland County Council. So you click on QDH and you suddenly end up looking at dog walking.
Apparently that's now Anna has
sorted.
sorted something out about this, because there's something about a bear as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's gone now. Apparently well, it's supposed to have.
well, that's the thing is that I know Rebecca sorts them.
But Anna's
Six
actually,
months
Anna
later,
couldn't sort
another
this,
one
yeah.
comes back in.
But
Something
Anna
else.
has, but it took a long time. It took her quite a while. It's not
And
easy.
also-
Yeah. Mm.
I think the message is, whilst we're looking at 14.09, also the YouTube videos.
Yeah, we should, yeah. We'll have a look. I'm gonna.
But that's possibly our error.
Possibly, but
You
if
know.
they say to us, oh, if you do that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean.
They might have an easier way of us doing
they
it.
might,
Yeah.
they might not. They might say it's one of those things.
So for the actions of that is, we'll send this to Godfrey, we'll get a meeting and just get the basics done to make sure, especially this functioning website, not to worry too much about the aesthetics at the moment, because we're going to be redoing the website in the next financial year. Is that agree? I just need a proposal on that.
I mean, we can possibly even archive this.
Yeah.
They may even be able to archive a load of stuff that's so old. Yeah. Mm.
Right. Proposal, second, yeah, so Ian and Mike.
The town council works on Android also. No, on the bear. Now it's the QVH.
The bear will be there.
So 2615 marketing working party, there's nothing to report. It's in the system. I think Rebecca's sending out all the stuff, which is great at the moment. And 2616, any other business report only? Ali, anything? Well, we noted the OBA thing, so we'll move on that. Rob? No? Okay, thanks very much. We'll close the meeting at 6:45.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So, quick